And tonight on the Daily Wrap, as Donald Trump continues to surge in the polls, Rand Paul says it's all because of the media. Do you know what the difference between a Democrat and a socialist is? Don't feel bad if you don't, because Debbie Wasserman Schultz, she don't know either. And our cameras hit the streets of New York City to find out if President Obama could win in 2016. This is the Daily Wrap, live from New York City. And welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Joe Concha, joined by my co-host, Rick Unger. Are you a Democrat or a socialist?
Boy, you know, we're going to talk about that, and I am very much a Democrat, not a socialist. And while the chairwoman of the DNC apparently doesn't know the difference, which is a little bit disturbing,
That's
I
true.
do.
Okay, great. That's going to be a fun conversation. And two, the Democrat's right. She is the founder and executive director of the Accountability Project and the host of, you'll never guess, the Accountability Podcast. Nomi Coast is here. How are you?
I'm great. I'm back.
Yeah, you look
I
different.
actually slept in the studio, and I
Yeah,
snuck
I thought
in
that
here.
was you.
Yeah.
I thought that was you.
Well, you clean up nice.
Thank God for that.
Finally, he's the former FBI special agent, a former Navy SEAL, and currently the president of Continued Services. Jonathan Gilliam enjoying his Irish coffee tonight. Okay.
Well, you told Gilliam he can do comedy. What's up?
He's outstanding. Let's get right to the Daily Download.
Mexico is sending, people are coming through that border from all over the world. They're coming through the border. We have a porous border. We have a border where you can just walk right into the country. And you can't do that. To have a country, you have to have a strong border. You have to have a really strong border. And this has to stop. What's going on now has to stop.
Who will build the wall and how will it be met?
I will build the wall, and Mexico is going to pay for it, and they'll be happy to pay for it because Mexico is making so much money from the United States that that's going to be peanuts. And all these other characters say, oh, they won't pay, because they don't know the first thing about how to negotiate. Trust me, Mexico will pay for it.
That message, and that hat for that matter, seems to be resonating with Donald Trump supporters as he continues to get rewarded in the polls. In the latest of Republican voters in Iowa, the Apprentice star is crushing the competition with a 15-point lead over Governor Scott Walker and a 20-point lead over Governor Bush. That's in Iowa. Rick, are you surprised by this latest poll? I thought that was Walker's to lose.
Exactly. I mean, the Iowa poll is truly astounding. Of everything that we've been talking about and everything that we've been seeing in the various polls, I never thought we would see that. And for him to jump out at that kind of a lead, boy, this is the real deal. It's as profoundly disturbing as that may be. It's the real thing.
Wow. Naomi, do you think we're looking at a President Trump now at this point, based on these polls?
No, I don't, but I think it's so interesting. I mean, this is just, I get excited watching him. It's like a really good reality show, or it's like you're seeing basically the institutions of the United States collapse, and you're like, what's next? I'm waiting for it. But the reality is that we're still, several months away from a primary, and he still doesn't have an operation set up in Iowa.
That's the issue.
That's the thing. He doesn't have any grassroots there yet. Maybe you don't need them,
No,
Jonathan,
you
because
do.
social media and just the way information can be traded these days. I understand you need a ground game. Maybe you just don't need it door to door like you used to.
Well, first off, let me just say I love this panel because I could disagree with everything you say, and 50% of the audience is going to love me. So that's awesome.
Oh no, more than
run
that.
for
More than that, probably.
Of
Trust
this
me.
panel.
Yeah.
55.
So, but what I find interesting is that when the liberals and the Democrats describe Donald Trump, they really do describe it like you said, that the things that he says, it's exciting, but he's never going to be president. And I think the way he's building this and getting the attention that he has, if he turns around and becomes presidential instead of the normal Donald, I think we may actually see something that's
If he could do that.
pretty incredible.
I'd
has he
actually
ever
agree
done
with
that?
that. If he could do
Well,
it.
we got to remember he's never had to, and he's a salesman. He's the greatest salesman that there is. right now.
I do want to say this about that. Nomi made a great point. Here's the problem in Iowa. It is not a go to the poll and vote state. It's a caucus state.
right.
And you only win in caucus states when you have the most effective ground game. Now, that's not to say that Donald Trump can't buy one. He's got time.
Right.
He could possibly do it, but he's going to have to move away from the way he's been campaigning and actually get into real hardcore street politics.
Do you think he's surprised at how well he's doing? I know he's full of confidence, but he probably couldn't, in his wildest dreams, think he'd be doubling or tripling a Jeb Bush at this point.
If it were an ordinary human being with with a less inflated sense of self, I'd say he'd be surprised. I don't know about Trump.
Well, as Trump continues to surge, some of the competition is getting a little testy. Here's Senator Rand Paul on CNN.
The latest Quinnipiac University poll has Donald Trump, look at this, at 20%, Scott Walker 13%, Jeb Bush 10%. You're down with 6% with a few others. There you see them. Why is he doing so well right now, Donald Trump?
Television works, Wolf. If you would give some other candidates time from 8 in the morning till 8 at night, all day long, every day for 3 weeks, I'm guessing some other candidates might rise as well.
You think he's got a point, Rick Unger?
I do. You know, this has been the largest grant of free political advertising that I have ever come close to seeing in my life. And as you know, I've been around since Lincoln. It's astounding how much it has to add up to hundreds of millions of dollars of free time.
You're a young guy. You've been around since Lincoln Chafee, not Abraham.
Well, yeah.
let that be known. Look, what's amazing about all the attention that he gets, in the past you might have 8, 10 candidates. He's competing against 16 and is still able to take it away from all those other candidates. Is it just what? Why? I get he's interesting, but give me something more.
Clearly he's interesting. I think that Rand Paul is jealous. And you know, as a candidate, you have to have a really smart messaging machine. And Trump has put all of his eggs in one basket. He happens to be very famous. And that's why people like to accomplish things before they run for president, because that carries with them into their presidency. Now, I think that the goals are different here. You know, Rand Paul, I think he really wants to be president, and I think he actually thought he had a chance. Donald Trump, I really believe that he's running for president to make money, and I think that even Hillary Clinton is running for president.
I do have to say this, though. I'm going to jump in ahead of Jonathan. One thing I'm going to say, for a long time we were saying that his success was about name identification, name recognition. I got to tell you something. 30% of Republican voters in the state of Iowa don't watch The Apprentice. Right. So it's not just about name recognition anymore.
No, I think what it is hashtag personality. And I think Rand Paul would really, and the rest of these people would go along a lot further if they realized that Donald Trump's personality is one of the things that is pushing him up in the polls. The rest of those individuals running on the Republican side are cookie cutter personalities, and they haven't stepped out. They're too afraid. They don't want to go out because they're all politicians. Donald Trump's a businessman, so if he loses, he goes back to making money. With Rand Paul, you know, especially the slap in the face that he got from the, you know, awesome reporter. I like Wolf Blitzer a lot. The question that he gave him was, you know, you're down. What do you think he's doing right to go up and, you know, I mean, that was like,
so gee, should I get on TV more by insulting journalists? Like, that's a way to win more media.
Yeah.
Many are cautious. Trump is candid. That is the way I'll transition to this next bite, and boy, it's tremendous. Donald Trump speaks his mind, as we were just talking about. Obviously, potential supporters like that. Mediaite, great spite, found this classic clip of Trump on Larry King Live back in 1989.
Do you mind if I sit back a little bit? Because your breath is very bad. It really is. Has this ever been told to you before?
No.
Huh? Okay, then I won't bother. No, actually,
that's how you get the edge.
So you get the edge. Okay. So, as you know, I think you know this, Larry King used to smoke while he was on the air.
Yes, he did.
And that automatically leads to, you know, bad breath. Altoids didn't exist.
Let's talk about what's really important there, though.
Yeah.
Donald Trump's hair looked like it hadn't come to life yet. It wasn't a living, breathing creature.
That's true.
Yeah.
But isn't that tremendous? I mean, you were cracking up.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, Donald Trump knows his brand. He knows that as long as he's bombastic, he's honest and speaks from the gut. Like, he's been this guy since he was 18 years old and he was profiled in the New York Times.
Yeah.
I mean, he knows his brand. The other politicians don't know their brand yet. And so they're trying to be conservative one day, they're trying to be in the middle another day. Just own it.
Well, I have a feeling we'll be talking about this perhaps on Monday and in other shows moving forward.
You think?
I think so.
The Trump's going to
stick
around?
Just a guess. Well, big media and critics say Donald Trump isn't prepared to take over the White House. Well, many, 30% in Iowa, say he is. In fact, he wrote a whole book outlining exactly what he would do as president. It's called Time to Get Tough. The bestseller details Donald Trump's plan for our southern border, China, terrorism, and much, much more. If you want to learn more about Trump's plan, check it out or go to newsmax.com/TrumpBook to get your free offer. That's right, you can get the best-selling book, Time to Get Tough, for free. Go to newsmax.com/TrumpBook. More Daily Wrap in just a moment.
And welcome back to the Daily Wrap. So last night on MSNBC's Hardball with Chris Matthews, the host threw a pitch to DNC chairperson Debbie Wasserman Schultz that really had softball written all over it. However, the Democratic Party leader apparently saw it more as a hard curve thrown high and inside, as she wouldn't even take a swing at it.
To some extent, disagreement among various parts of the government over what should or should not be publicly released. And I want to underscore this because when I turned over my 55,000 pages, I did.
Okay, we got the soundtrack ready. We're going to try and get it again correctly, guys? Well, I'll just tell you what happened. Chris Matthews asked Wasserman to basically explain the difference between the Democratic Party today and socialism. Now, I don't find that a particularly hard question to answer, but apparently she did, because she simply said, well, I don't want to talk about that. Actually, we do now have it so you can hear it yourself.
What is the difference between a Democrat and a socialist? I used to think there was a big difference. What do you think it is?
The difference between
a Democrat like Hillary Clinton and a socialist like Bernie Sanders.
What's the difference between being a Democrat and being a Republican?
Well, what's the big difference between a Democrat and a socialist? You're the chairman of the Democratic Party. Tell me the difference between you and a socialist.
The relevant debate that we'll be having over the course of this campaign is what's the difference between a Democrat and a Republican?
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but as near as I could tell, Matthews was asking the DNC chair to explain the difference between the Democratic Party ideology and socialism. Yet Wasserman Schultz refused to play ball, instead preferring to take a shot at describing the difference between Republicans and Democrats. Fortunately, our panel is much smarter than the DNC chairperson and probably can tell us the difference between Democrats' ideology and socialism, although I suspect some here may not see much daylight between the two. And whilst I'll certainly weigh in on this myself, I think we should begin with the other Democrat on the panel, Nomi Kunst. Nomi, the difference between Democrats and socialists.
I mean, the textbook definition is a little bit more nuanced, but I think in 2015 the difference is, you know, the mainstream Democratic Party is clearly the Hillary Clintons of the world, and those are the people who would support TPP, financial issues, free trade, some of our global issues, global affairs. I think socialists really want to keep our budget focused on America and less on international intervention. You know, TPP I mentioned, and socialism is, you know, it's really about taking care of the people.
I'm going to take a more textbook approach. Okay. Socialism is actually defined, and in reality is, when the community, and the community can be literally a community or a state or a federal government, has total control and ownership of industry. They oversee the means of production, they oversee the distribution of that production, and they regulate that production. Now, you can take elements of that and you can say that Democrats regulate too much, but that doesn't make you a socialist. In fact, until Democrats begin arguing that we should do away with private industry and turn it all over to ownership of the government, you simply can't say that they're socialists. Now, the next part of this, and I'm going to put all this to you guys, is it not true that this country has always had an element of socialism? For example, our roads. Our roads are owned by the community, regulated by the community, overseen by the community. So this isn't that hard, is it, Joe?
It's like if I build a business, right? I didn't build that because all the trucks needed to be on the roads that the government built, and those helped me get all my supplies and so on.
I mean, you can make fun of what the president said, and he probably deserves it, but in fact, you did build a business, and more importantly, whether you built it or not, you own it.
Right.
You operate it. You may get some government regulation. I'll certainly acknowledge that, but you do own it and operate it, not the community. Now, I have a funny feeling you may have something to say about this.
So my opinion on socialism is that socialism is a lie. It is communist light. What you're saying, and that's the truth.
That doesn't make it a lie.
No,
there is socialism.
Socialism is a lie in this country because what
in this country,
yes. Because what they're trying to convince the people is that they're Democrats. Socialism is the worst thing that could ever happen to the Democratic Party.
But do you think it is what's happened to the Democratic Party?
I think it's what's happened to a great vast majority of the people in power of the Democratic Party. Because now they mistake what you're saying about the roads. You got to remember the Constitution, which set up this country, and in which the Democratic Party and the Republican Party initially followed, is there to ensure our freedoms, our rights, and our protection. Roads are one of those things that help protect us because hold on, let me finish. So I don't think that roads, water, toiletries, things like that, sewer systems, those things are there to support and uplift the community. That's not socialism. That's a government that's taking care of its people. But what's happened in the Democratic Party, though, is they have shifted. I'm talking about the executives in the Democratic Party, not liberals.
The reason that we're trying to interrupt you is because you're going on a long time about something we already agree on. The question is, you own a business, do you not? Does the government own your business? They may regulate your business, but do they own it?
They do not. But if it was, but the way socialists have integrated themselves in the Democratic Party is just this: they want to get in there and control the majority of things that make that country
socialism. We have public-private partnerships. The Democratic Party has become more privatized. Debbie Wasserman Schultz is one of the biggest fundraisers of the Democratic Party, and where is she getting that money from? Private captains of industry, CEOs. If you look at who's paying for the campaigns,
they know they're going to make more money if
they exactly. So we're not more socialized.
Can we go to what Joe just said? Because I think people care about this. Joe said like healthcare, right? Does the government own the hospitals? Do the doctors work for the government? Because unless you can answer yes to both those questions, it's just not true. We got to go. We want to hear what your thoughts are on the Democratic Party, and we want to know whether you think the Democrats have become the party of American socialism. Go to newsmaxtv.com/comments. Let us know when we come back. Actually, Joe, do you agree with me? Quickly.
You go. I got 3 seconds.
Quick. Coming up, more Hillary Clinton email drama. More Hillary Clinton coming up.
First, let me say that I am confident that I never sent nor received any information that was classified at the time it was sent and received. And what I think you're seeing here is a very typical kind of discussion, to some extent disagreement among various parts of the government over what should or should not be publicly released.
I wouldn't go horizontal stripes there in July. It's just me. Welcome back to Daily Wrap. Hillary's email problems continue to get worse, if that's possible. Today, a third cache, roughly 1,300 pages, were released, but the White House designated a number of those emails as classified and also heavily redacted numerous emails. The reason for the redactions? The information was obtained from a foreign government or was U.S. internal foreign policy information. Got that? According to a source to Fox News, Hillary Clinton's private server contained classified information from multiple intelligence agencies in addition to data connected to the 2012 Benghazi attack. Rick, at what point does this become criminal?
It becomes criminal if, in fact, she did use her personal account to send out classified information. I do believe that's a criminal violation on the books.
Then what happens if it is criminal?
Well, that's the interesting question, and Jonathan and I were talking about that before the show starts. It's a little bit hard for me to believe that we'll see Hillary Clinton end up in jail.
But she was already wearing the stripes.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking when you said that. So I wonder if Jonathan likes that. But I do think that if we were to find out, and if it turns out that it was a slam dunk violation by using a personal email account, which, by the way, is a really bad thing to do, to send classified documents out, then she deserves whatever she gets, because you just can't do that. It's one thing for us to argue about whether or not she should be using a personal email account. We know that she probably shouldn't be. We know that others have and all that. It takes on a whole new level when we get into this issue.
So forget jail for a second. That obviously ends the campaign. Then it's over, and then you're looking at Biden Kasich.
We had a guy get elected who was dead in one place before, but
that did happen.
Only
and how many people in New York right now are indicted and still serving office?
That's true.
But I think what you're saying, I agree with. But I think you could make an even more powerful argument if you just took the word "if" and put the word "did" in there.
Well, I'm not going to do that yet, because until we see the evidence,
she did.
But they've already said the inspectors general said if there's one or if there's 4 or if there's 50, it doesn't matter.
I agree with that.
And ignorance of the law is no excuse.
So remember, the inspectors general also, and that's also true, but the inspectors general, despite the initial reports, did not turn this over for a criminal investigation. They turned it over for an investigation. If it turns out, though, And that's why I say if. You know, I still believe in American justice. You're innocent until you're proven guilty. If it turns out that it was a violation, then you got to prosecute it.
It depends on what the definition of the word if
is. If is.
If, right, something like that. No, but jump in.
Yeah, I mean, if this continues, this continues to play out, if we continue to talk about the ifs rather than the dids, and or put this all aside, she's going to have to go before a committee in the House in the next several months, and that's going to play out for several months talking about Benghazi, and those emails are going to come into play, and I have no doubt they're going to pull up the emails that weren't redacted, or maybe they will. I have no idea what they'll have access to under this House committee. And she's going to have to talk about that.
That's the thing.
That won't get her elected.
Ever since this campaign began, I can't remember 2 days in a row where we've talked about a Hillary Clinton position or policy.
Exactly right.
This thing
we don't talk about her policies. We talk about her troubles.
Right. She also doesn't
by the way,
I'm
not complaining. I'm not sitting here saying, "Oh, we're treating Hillary badly." It's her fault that we're not talking about policies. And you're right. She's not talking about them either. So why should?
And I'll tell you, we mentioned this earlier when we were on break. Is that if the Democratic Party decides she's too much of a hot ticket to push forward because something might happen, my prediction is the support for her will go away. And when that happens, the federal law enforcement will step forward, and you're going to see, you may see other things happen to Hillary that wouldn't have happened if she was still,
I'm reluctant to believe it, but I never say never.
They've got roots everywhere. I mean, you look at these justices, they go back 20, 30 years. I mean, there's relationships here. The one thing that they have is strong relationships, and their people protect.
Great poll out today that, I forget where it was from, I heard it on the way over here. 56% of Democrats who now support Hillary Clinton says they would leave her if Joe Biden, your boy, jumped into the race. You're so happy about this. Explain to the audience why Joe Biden would have a great chance.
Oh gosh, I have a list of reasons. Well, Joe Biden, you know, he was elected at 29 years old, took office at 30, and so he is one of the longest serving senators. One of the things that he's done in the Senate and in the past few years as vice president is he's been the president's ambassador of the Senate. He's gone in there and cut deals when we've had debt ceiling crises. Yeah, and Republicans who respect him, Republicans who admire him. Lindsey Graham teared up over Joe Biden the other day.
He was right about Iraq.
He was right about Iraq, and he was right about the answer to Iraq, the solution to Iraq, which we're now, all major generals are saying maybe we should have.
And as I like to point out about Joe Biden, go look at his finances. He's one of the poorest guys in government. All these years he's been in the Senate, he never made money off of it. He's an honest guy.
I want to say one thing real quick, and I'm going to quote you. If we want to change this country, go fire everybody in government.
Well, yeah,
he's the longest standing guy.
Yeah.
Get rid of him.
What was that going to solve?
Yeah, you're still going to have somebody.
We got to go. We got to go. Coming up next, Obama 2016. We'll tell you about that. This is the Daily Wrap.
I actually think I'm a pretty good president. I think if I ran, I could win. But I can't.
And welcome back to the Daily Wrap. That was, of course, President Obama giving himself a little pat on the back while speaking to the African Union in Ethiopia this past Tuesday. Clearly, the president thinks he's done a great job and would love to run again. But we couldn't help but wonder what the American people think about an Obama third term. Well, our Nora DeBroder hit the streets of New York to find out what they think, so let's take a look.
I'm Nora DeBroder for Newsmax TV, hitting the streets of New York City to find out what people think about an Obama third term. If Obama ran for a third term, Obama 2016, would you vote for him?
Definitely. Of course. Why wouldn't I?
He's not running for a third term.
Definitely Obama. Yeah, Obama.
Oh yeah, I love him.
Yeah, I guess so.
I think that's not exactly legal because he's only allowed to run 2 terms.
He did have a rough time, but he got certain things fixed. Like, for example, like I said before, Cuba, we couldn't go to Cuba. Now we can go to Cuba and have fun, go for a vacation.
I'm not really too into politics, but my intuition tells me that he genuinely wants to he's fighting for equality. You know, I feel that connection with him, so for sure.
He's not running, that's not allowed.
I don't think that's the legal option for him to do, so.
I mean, I voted for him for his first 2, but to be honest, I don't know if I would necessarily vote for him again.
I feel like Obama as a president, he did his thing. He did good.
I'm not happy with a lot of the, I guess, policies that he said he would put in place, and you know, I know it's not only up to him, but I just feel like I'm a little disappointed.
Let's just say that he did way better than everyone thought he would do.
Absolutely. I love Obama. I think a third term doesn't exist, though.
Obama? If Obama were able to run again in 2016, I guess it depends on who'd be running against him, but there's a pretty good chance I would support him, yeah.
I think his foreign policy is pretty good, too. Yeah, I think people give him a hard time more than he deserves.
If it was in the Constitution where he can run for a third term, yes, I would vote for him. However, in 2015, that's not allowed, so.
No, impossible. He's already done 2 terms, so.
Well, most people realize he can't run again, you know. I can't be overly surprised at the support for the president. This was in New York.
Right.
Not exactly a bastion of conservative thought.
I did the math on that while that was rolling.
Yeah.
By the way, Norda Broder is the next superstar.
Yeah, you think?
Oh,
think
yeah.
we got something there?
I think we got something there. But he received about 97% of the vote during that particular package.
Yeah.
And I think if he did run again, he would win again because the field, well, he'd get the nomination over Hillary. We saw that movie in 2008, and she's infinitely weaker. And then against a Republican, outside of maybe one, I could see him winning again because people are comfortable with him.
Well, I'm not so sure, to be honest with you. I don't know if he would win again. It's hard for me to really go there because I, too, am aware of the fact that he can't run again. I don't know. I think Americans get tired of people. Right. And I think one of the problems that all of our presidents face, no matter whether they're Republican, Democrat, is we get tired of them. That's why I actually think that we should do something that Mexico does, Donald Trump. We should have a one-term, 6-year presidency. It would take the second-term politics out of it. It would mean that when you run for president, you don't have to run again, so you can actually do your job. And we're tired of our presidents by 6 years. We've had it with them. Even if we like them, we're tired of them.
I mean, I agree with you, and I think our attention spans are pretty short, and we do get sick. I mean, listen, 2 years ago, Hillary Clinton texting was the hottest thing in America, and everyone's thinking Hillary's the next big thing, and we've lost that. What I found interesting about this video was no one did mention Hillary, and a lot of them were women.
That's true.
And
nobody said, no, I'd
progressive.
rather have Hillary.
Yeah. So.
You know, I feel like I just watched The View while reading a People magazine. I literally.
Is it because they're all women?
Yeah,
is that why?
They were all women. There were some smart guys in there.
I just feel like everything that everybody was saying was feel good or it was on emotion. There was no structure to what they're saying. I know it's a woman on the street interview, but I think that's a good cross-section view of the depth at which people pick presidents a lot of the times. I don't think that they're looking at the quality of work that's been done.
But isn't that the way elections are? I always say running for president is pretty much, it's like running for president of the senior class in high school. Yeah. I don't think there's that much difference between the two.
I don't either.
You know, they vote for who's popular. This is why when Obama was running in 2008, it wasn't good enough that he was a interesting candidate. People made him into something really big.
Right. Yep.
But you know what I want to know is, and although I think I know the answer to this, would you vote for Obama if he could run for a third term? Weigh in at newsmaxtv.com/comments and let us know, because coming up next, we're going to read some of your viewer comments. I've had a look. You're going to want to hear it. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to Daily Wrap. Before we get going here, let's check in with the one and only Steve Malzberg and see what he has planned for us tonight.
Joe, Donald Trump, of course, tops the news as he always does, even though he's overseas, still leading in the polls. We'll talk about that. We have 2 panels today. Also, Debbie Wasserman Schultz asked a very simple question by Chris Matthews. What's the difference between a socialist and a Democrat? Wait till you hear her answer. It's all coming up next.
All right, Stevie. Well, let's read some of our viewer comments, shall we? First up, we have a comment from Mike about Cecil the Lion, or Cecil, excuse me. Mike says, Rick Unger gave away his age again, 53. The Zimbo lion's name was Cecil, pronounced with a short E. I guess Rick watched too much Cecil the seasick sea serpent in his youth. I actually said that without tripping.
Mike, I got a cop to it, brother. You are absolutely right. I said it wrong. It is Cecil, and you are also right. I did watch too much of Beanie and Cecil the seasick sea serpent. I saw every episode at least 5 times.
You guys are slightly younger. Have you ever, Noe, starting with you, have you heard of this cartoon?
No, I just learned about it earlier.
Yeah, same with me.
I know what the Flintstones is. I mean,
good for you.
That's old.
That's not important. You're supposed to know my cartoons.
Okay, I didn't read your
What was your cartoon growing up?
Well, I read about that in world history when I was in elementary school.
Oh, you did, yeah.
Right, because once they got rid of
The
all
dawn
that.
of the
Actually,
animation
Bugs Bunny affected me greatly. I always thought he was just the most confident and wasn't fazed by stuff. Whoever wrote that, I think, was an amazing art.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Could talk about this for hours, but we probably shouldn't.
Yeah. I was Inspector Gadget and Don Adams.
Yeah.
I could totally.
Captain Planet. He's a hero.
You like Captain
He's going to
Planet?
take pollution down to 0.
I hated that show. It was boring.
Let's move on. Hunger.
Oh, this is me. Well, let's move on. Can we see the next one, please? Oh, here it is. This next comment is also about Cecil. Blake says the lion hunter should be compared to Obama eating dogs. I don't even know what to say about that. Anybody got anything to offer?
Not really, no. You want to move on?
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on. Next, we have a comment from Donna about my man, John Kasich. Donna says, if you haven't heard Governor Kasich's entry speech, you are missing a huge gift to all of us. That's it. I've been watching and listening and reading to decide. Governor Kasich was so persuasive and insightful and energized in so many of the important issues. Certainly hope he is among the first debaters on TV. Don't worry, he will. He would, without a doubt, knock some of the contenders clear out of the park. Mr. Trump is being so self-serving, grabbing the media, and the media not giving most of the candidates an opportunity to be heard. There are accusations that I actually created a fake email account and sent in that comment on my own, but
well,
she nailed it.
But I'll tell you what, is Donna, I watched the speech, and I have to agree with you. I thought he was excellent in the speech. I may not agree with Governor Kasich on everything, but I got to give it to him. He gave a great speech. He is a good candidate. He did a good job in my home state of Ohio. So you're on track.
Best resume in the race, Nomi.
Except for Joe Biden.
Except for Joe Biden.
Except for Joe Biden. Wow, look at that. How about Biden, Kasich? Boy, those would be two guys that you actually can like.
And Lindsey Graham. Let's give Lindsey Graham
true.
credit. He has a strong resume also.
And the only bachelor in the entire race. Yes.
I like what you just said. That would be a race that we could actually like the candidates, Kasich and Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Until the super PACs get involved and then all
And
the,
make us hate
the negative campaign.
All right, here's a comment about Planned Parenthood from Jeff, who says, I don't want to see a government shutdown, but recent tweets by Elizabeth Warren and Harry Reid are very demoralizing. At some point, we have to decide what kind of country we want to be. The only other alternative is boycotting companies that support Planned Parenthood to starve them. For now, people like Reid and Warren need to be sent a message. That's the only language they seem to understand. I don't quite understand how boycotting companies would have an impact on Planned Parenthood, but I will say this, it is your right as an American to boycott any company you choose.
Finally, tonight, we have another comment about Planned Parenthood from John. Planned Parenthood, he says, they should not get tax dollars. That swarmy Rich Unger is a jackass. They like that description of you.
Calling me a jackass.
Interesting. There is nothing that this moron, oh come on, would find wrong with anything done by people that love murdering babies. My God. Planned Parenthood is disgraceful. Unger is a wimpy little moron. Fire him now. Wow, an Unger smashing sandwich. Do I have the ability to terminate
Actually, I'm not sure, but first I got to ask him what show he's been watching, because I haven't exactly been all that supportive of Planned Parenthood here. But more importantly, obviously you're not a full employment Republican, but you know what? I'll make sure it gets to the boss. Little Jenny won't have shoes this fall when she goes to school if I lose my gig. But hey, you know, that's life in the big city.
Jonathan, should they lose their any tax dollars at this point?
I think there needs to be a review of some of these things that are going on. It sounds like there may be some unethical things going on there, and I think they definitely need to be looked at it. And
we agree. That's exactly what I've been saying.
That
Investigate
costs
quickly.
tax dollars money.
That
Those
costs
reviews.
tax dollars. Oh, right. well,
Taxpayers' money.
Yeah, ultimately, I think it'll save in the long run. Anyway, remember, if you want to weigh in on any of these issues we talk about here on the show, be sure to go to newsmaxtv.com/comments. That's newsmaxtv.com/comments. WeatherTech.com/comments right there. And let us know what you think. We might even read, yes, a few on the air, as you just saw. Up next, it's time for Yay or Nay. It's happy time. This is the Daily Wrap. And welcome back to Daily Wrap. If it's that music, it's time for Yay or Nay Friday edition. First up, bless you, Rick. Bad news for cell phone users as a new study proves once and for all, bless you, Rick, that the radiation emitted from cell phones can not only make you sneeze, but also give you cancer. Just using your phone for 20 minutes a day for 5 years increased a user's risk of a certain kind of brain cancer by 3 times. Yikes. Other less severe side effects include headaches, fatigue, and even skin problems. Are you going to get rid of your cell phone after hearing about this? Yay or nay, Unger? You already have.
No chance. No, nay.
Okay. Well, you're infallible, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
No.
I broke my cell phone 3 days ago, and I didn't have one for a whole day.
How'd you do?
I thought I was going to lose my mind, and then it was liberating. It was this amazing feeling until I got lost.
And
until
then
I wanted
got another one.
And then I went and got another one. I just sit in the Apple store. You know, I like to use the headset. I do believe that brain cancer happens from cell phones. I do believe that. Eventually, I want to get really rich and just hire someone to handle my cell phone. I'm serious.
A cell
I'm not
phone
kidding. I'm like, this is
You're
my
gonna
goal.
gift cancer to somebody.
That's inspirational. Yeah, inspirational. Gilliam.
Gift cancer.
When it makes my beard fall out or turns me liberal, like a complete liberal, I'll stop using it.
Wow. I didn't read about that side effect in the study. That's fascinating.
But I'm not going to gift cancer, so.
Okay. Well, the next time you walk outside and complain about the heat, be lucky that you don't live in Iran right now, where temperatures reached 165 degrees yesterday when you factor in humidity. In a related story, the real feel temperature outside the Newsmax New York studios is 146. Anyway, this chart shows the temperature in Bandar Marshar, Iran, over the last 36 hours. The actual temperature is around 115 degrees. When you consider the dew point temperature of 90 degrees, it feels like a balmy 165. So, Nomi, you're going to pack your bags for a summer getaway in Tehran? Yay or nay?
Nay, and I think that this is because they're working on nuclear weapons, clearly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's heating the entire
That's
country.
it.
John Kerry didn't consider that, hey,
Yeah.
Anger?
Global warming caused by nuclear weapons.
That's the reason I'm not going to go and live in Iran.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew there was some reason.
I think it could be because Rick is a jackass. That one guy said it earlier when he tweeted.
That's what's causing overheating in Iran.
Wow, you get to call Rick a jackass in 2 consecutive blocks.
And I'm getting used to it. It's okay. It's okay.
Donald Trump spoke with reporters in Scotland yesterday at the billionaire presidential hopefuls resort. Let's hear what he had to say about how he will handle foreign relations as president.
I think I'd get along very well with Vladimir Putin. I just think so. People would say, what do you mean? I think I'd get along well with him.
Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin.
He's looked into his soul. He's looked into his soul.
Right.
Just like somebody else I recall. You know what? I'm going to change my whole approach to Donald Trump because now that I know that he owns Turnberry, which is really one of the best golf courses in Europe, I'm going to be nicer to Donald. Maybe he'll let me play.
Wow, jumping on the bandwagon, Nomi.
I mean, of course he's going to be a fan of Vladimir Putin. He's an oligarch. He loves the oligarchs. He does business with oligarchs. They buy real estate in his buildings. You know, the oligarchs and Donald Trump are one.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Putin killed Cecil the Lion,
Yeah,
apparently,
he did.
according to that clip.
He killed Cecil's sister, the tiger.
Wow, that's amazing. He looks so Russian, doesn't he? I mean,
does.
you work in this sort of stuff. Does he look so KGB? It's incredible.
That's because he is.
Yeah.
And oligarch, that's where they have the breadsticks, right? Is that? No, that's Olive Garden.
Okay, moving on from that.
It's
definitely Friday.
And Jonathan
Finally,
has horrible
while we're on the
material.
subject of Donald Trump, the businessman is taking full advantage of his momentum in the polls, planning to trademark his campaign slogan, "Make America Great Again." He has already trademarked the boardroom, Westchester, Fake Fest, and anything with Trump in it from his various real estate and business ventures. His campaign tried to trademark the phrases Trumpocrat and Trumpublican back in January for campaign swag, but didn't follow through with it. Is Donald Trump running the Trumpiest presidential campaign ever? Yay or nay? One answer. Jonathan.
Yes, because Michael Cohen will beat you up if you say no.
Wow, that wasn't one word. No.
United States of Trump.
Big fan of licensing. Can't say I blame him.
Okay. Turnberry's a tremendous golf course. Anyway, on behalf of Rick Unger, thank you, panel. The Steve Malzberg Show. That's next. Apparently we have time.
Oh, tap dance.
So anyway, Steve has a great show coming up. All good stuff. Any plans for the weekend?
Yeah, I'm going to get some rest, do my radio show tomorrow for anybody listening to Sirius XM, 11 a.m. Eastern.
Now we got to
promo.
go. Bye-bye.